sans dire à tout.
Right, and I think, yeah, because nowadays, a lot of people are, what is it, wanting to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, you have to be like all good, or it's like is not even worth considering. And like I think that's um, kind of a bad mentality to have. I think because nowadays it's referred to as cancel culture. Um, and I think and then well, the most prominent or the latest victim of this is Mario Lopez. Um, because he went on Candace Owens' podcast, and the subject of trans kids came on, and he just said it's like, hey, these are I don't think 3-year-olds are capable of making life altering decisions, and everyone came down on him like a ton of bricks, and you know and they squeezed them to get a mea culpa out of him, and over saying like, yeah, I don't think children should be making life altering decisions like that. It's like it'd be like saying like, yeah, I don't think 3-year-olds should 3-year-olds should get liposuction. That's pretty much what he was saying. That's pretty much that all he was. It was akin to that. Like, I don't think 3-year-olds should decide that they should get liposuction.
Like, oh, I don't think trans people should exist, or I don't like trans people, or anything. To be honest, it's actually, I think it's a very, I think what he said is normal. It's like, I'm a little concerned when we're giving young children stuff that's going to completely change and maybe negatively, if in his kind of what he was saying is like it negatively affect their body, and he wasn't like it wasn't a hateful thing.
Right.
It was just
it was
I'm
completely
concerned.
out of concern for the child.
Right.
I mean, we bar children from drinking and smoking and even drinking coffee. But yet,
Right.
they say that they feel like this gender or that gender, and they say, oh yes, immediately give them hormones, chop, hack off, whatever genitalia, and it's like, go on your way. It's like, well, you won't let kids have coffee, but you'll pump them full of hormones, and you'll advocate for really life altering surgery. There's an imbalance there.
Right. But going back to that idea of like the cancel culture is like, if we're gonna have nothing left. There's gonna be nothing.
Right. Exactly. I mean, because and especially if you try to, this is kind of where I got off on the Jordan Peterson train, is that the entire message was, do not do not apologize to a mob. You could apologize to a person, an individual, but you cannot apologize to the mob. And that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly what Mario Lopez did. And there's some people who are gonna take the apology and just move about their business, but then there's some, like, I believe the more rabid type are just gonna be like, no, it's not good enough. I want him gone. I don't ever want to hear the name Mario Lopez ever again on like TV or radio or magazine or whatever. And I think and that's what we have to combat against.
Yeah, and and here's the thing: it's like, when it comes to that, like, see, I think what he really believed came out in that podcast, and then
100%, 100%,
and that's what he really thinks, and so it's okay. That's who he is. There we go. There's his real thought. The the bowing to the mob. To be honest, I feel terrible for the guy. Everyone like wants to like bash him, like, oh, how dare he? Like from our side, it's like how could he like show weakness to this angry mob? And then it's like, but the angry mob also doesn't care. It's like he's already dead. They're just kicking his corpse down the street at this point. So he's kind of he. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, well, for me, it's not even like I'm necessarily mad that he apologized, but I'm mad that he feels that he had to apologize for the for the sake of like for the sake of his family or what have you. Um, and I don't want to discount like that fear because it's a real thing. And I mean, I'm not a I don't have my own family um, to look after or provide for. So I don't want to be too harsh on the guy, but
Well, and
when you're advocating, but when you're advocating for children, you should never you should never have to apologize for that.
true. And I wonder too, like when it comes to that, because I mean, when I think of controversy and Mario Lopez, those kind of those two things don't really go together. He
Right?
actually
I know,
seems like
like he's
he seems
cultivated
like a
like this.
genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, I mean he's spent an entire career cultivating this. I mean, I don't know, like almost like squeaky clean kind of reputation and persona. He's been on Extra for God knows how many
And,
years, and he also hosts like radio shows, and I think he has his own podcast as well. But then the big thing came was when the big thing is when he got that job at Access Hollywood and like on NBC, and then like even after he went on Candace Owens' podcast and made those comments. They put out in the newspapers or whatever like that NBC execs had an emergency meeting to talk about this and to discuss like what they were gonna do. It's like why he was just advocating for like the non harm of children. That was it.
right, and I
It's like
think,
telling
well, I don't
children
know.
don't run with scissors. That's what I equate it to. It's like kids don't run with scissors.
Right. And I wonder too, like, I don't know if it was because of the NBC executives or if you maybe, a guy who maybe all of a sudden started receiving a bunch of these, wacko like death threats that some of these people get, when you don't because he's been a guy that's been very vanilla. Like, I don't think he's advocated or said anything very controversial ever.
Right? No, I don't
um,
think he's. Yeah, I don't. To my knowledge, he hasn't said anything against gay people or minorities. I mean, his family is from Mexico.
yeah. And, but like what I'm saying is like maybe like he saw like all these like, oh, you deserve to die and you're
Well, yeah,
kill
yeah,
your
yeah,
kids, all
yeah.
this stuff. And it makes you think like a guy who maybe never received any of this and like, yeah, maybe he just kind of like, oh shit.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, being in the public eye for as many years as he has, I'm sure he's gotten a certain flavor. But it's like now with like the internet, it's a and with like social media, it's a little bit more instant. And it's a lot less filtered than maybe what he's been used to.
Right.
Back in the day when he maybe got letters from fans.
Yeah,
But
where they
now
actually
like
had to put it through the mail.
yeah, exactly. And now like with Twitter, it's like it's like instantly there. It's
Instant.
you can't like with the phones, you're constantly carrying it around with you. So
Yeah.
there's no real way of getting away from
But yeah, it's man.
it. Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for the guy.
Yeah,
I
no
do.
doubt. Yeah, no doubt. It's I mean, full disclosure. I mean, me and you, we grew up with this guy on TV.
Yeah, I
And
grew up with Saved by the Bell and AC Slater and all those
exactly.
guys.
We
It's like,
we grew up with this guy, and so when he does good, it's like, oh yeah, good for you. Yeah, way to go, Slater. But then now it's like all this is happening. It's like I feel bad that you feel like you have to do this like to keep providing for your family, but at the cost of what? You know, you're doing this at the cost of what?
Yeah.
So you can still keep your family in the 90210, or still keep up a certain lifestyle, but it's like when you're advocating for the safety of children, that you shouldn't have to apologize for that.